Good morning, everybody. My name is Gilles Couturier. I'm a former trade commissioner at the Canadian Embassy in Moscow. Your Excellencies, Heather, Nathan, Said, thank you very much for, and also I should not forget the staff at the embassies in Moscow, at the embassy in Moscow and in Kazakhstan as well, that worked very hard. I mean, Lydia Panova, I guess it's been in contact with me for several months on that symposium. I've always been very amazed and impressed about how effective junior exploration companies are in terms of contributing their contribution to regional development and economic development in general. Essentially, junior exploration companies punch above their weight. They're small, but they produce. Furthermore, junior exploration companies always remind me the sentence that small is beautiful. Hopefully this presentation will demonstrate that mineral and regional development is much better served when junior companies are present in a country. In my presentation, I will use very much the Canadian experience to hopefully prove that it is the case that junior companies they produce, they make discoveries. Thank you. Okay. For a country, the stakes are high to attract junior exploration companies. They have a flat structure. Junior operate on a very, very tight budget. Their administration overhead costs are minimal. So essentially what they can do more field work with less money. And that's crucial in these tough times. They're very entrepreneurial. So therefore, they're not worried about going out in the north, working in hard terrain, mountains, marshes, whatever. They'll go wherever they'll go wherever they can to find a deposit. They're really hard driven, and that's what we need in mineral exploration. I will use a couple graphs that were kindly provided by Natural Resources, a department that I worked for 15 years. And when you see the acronym CMA, it stands for Canadian Mining Assets. You will see in this graph that junior companies tend to spend more money in Canada. There is a reason for that. Our junior companies are getting some fiscal benefits from spending money in Canada. I will allude to that later in my presentation, but they're getting fiscal incentive because the federal government, the provincial governments, all the provincial governments provide incentive to junior companies in various forms. So they spend more money, but they also spend a lot in the U.S. and Latin America. Historically, they've been present in the U.S. and Latin America in a very significant way. While their share of exploration in Canada is 42% versus 58%, junior companies do have a lot of impact on new discoveries because senior tend to explore on the field, at their properties, at their existing properties, while junior, again, go out in the remote, find new territories, find new targets, and they work in tandem with prospectors. There's a tradition in Canada to have people who work as individual prospectors. There are, in French we have an expression, it's coureurs des bois. They are not scared. These people are walking the land basically to find targets, to find new deposits. They're bringing rocks, they're digging, and these prospectors are working in tandem with junior companies and sometimes with senior companies. Okay. Canadian mining assets by country. Most of our assets are in the U.S., Chile, Panama. That's where and Mexico to some extent. That's where most of our investments are located. Again, the North America is the place where our companies are spending the bulk of their investments abroad. The proportion, the share of Asia in this slide and Europe is relatively small, and I would say Russia falls under Europe, while Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan falls with Asia. Historically, the share of Canadian mining investments in Russia and Central Asia has been relatively small compared to other jurisdictions, particularly if you compare it to let's say Latin America or the U.S. It's certainly not because of a lack of potential. The perception about the investment climate is a core issue for both junior and senior companies. I've been talking recently with a lot of my contacts, and it always comes back. Is it a place that is Central Asia a place that is open for business? Particularly for junior companies, it's a more acute problem because junior mining companies have limited financial resources and limited management resources. A big company has VPs responsible for corporate development, for business development, for government relations. While for a junior company, the president of the company may fill all of these functions. That's a lot. That's a lot for one person, isn't it? But that's the beauty. They're innovative, they're creative, and they make up for the lack of depth in terms of staffing. The junior exploration companies have been responsible for discovering many, and I would ask the prospectors as well. In this slide, prospectors are always part of the picture. Many camps in Canada and around the world have been discovered by junior companies who were not scared to take risks. Timmins, Hemlow Camp in Ontario, even Nevada, the Gold Strike area of Barrick, initially was a junior company that was developing this deposit. And Barrick at one time was a junior company, not a junior exploration company, but a junior mining company. Again, they do a lot more with less. They're not scared of going off the beaten path. They go wherever they can, and sometimes they're not too. They find the deposit first and find a way to get the infrastructure developed after. If you find a great deposit, there's always room to finance infrastructure, but you have to first and foremost you have to find the deposit. they use the same, junior mining companies use the same geochemistry and geophysics technology that do the seniors. But there's more with the juniors as well. They spend plenty of time visiting roads, rail, other infrastructure to discover targets. They're just out there in the field. They spend less time in the office and more time walking. That applies as well to the prospectors. Individual prospectors use exactly that same technique. They walk, dig in all terrains, and they're not scared. It would be a great asset to have them in Central Asia, for sure. New areas would be discovered. New models, new geological models will be developed. And that would be a real plus for your region. Junior companies, they finance themselves by being traded on stock exchanges. The TSX is a good one. A former colleague of mine who's heading PGX Resources recently obtained $1 million in exchange for a 5.5% net smelter return from Osisko. NSR essentially, when the mine is in production, 0.5 will go to Osisko for $1 million. That says new funding allows junior companies to survive because they don't. An exploration company doesn't have revenues, so they need financing from strategic investors, from individual investors. Essentially, what PGX will do is they spend that $1 million to further advance their project in British Columbia. Junior companies, when they find something, they need a strong legal base in the country where they operate. Basically, they want to be able to develop or further explore the deposit that they found. That's crucial in our system. It's just, if the rewards are not there, the junior system will fall apart because they need to have security of title. They need to have the support from all government jurisdiction. Because something that people don't know is that in Canada, provinces own and manage natural resources within their boundaries. And provincial governments play a very key role in assisting companies through the land system, as well as providing incentive to junior mining companies. When they make a discovery, junior companies normally have three options. They sell to a major, which is the classical way of doing it. They've brought the project up until a certain level and then pass it on to a large investor that will bring it in production. They can develop the deposit with a senior, half and half. Normally senior partners ask for operatorship. Sometimes junior companies will attract individual investors and seek financing from financial institutions to develop the deposit themselves. As we saw in the PGX case, they can sell net smelter returns or net profit interest to royalty companies. Osisko is one of them, but Franco-Nevada Mining is by far the leading mining royalty companies. They've been present. I think their initial project was in Nevada at the Gold Strike mine. Eventually, that was a company maker for Franco-Nevada, which started as a very small company, but emerged as a big player in the mining scene. Junior companies tend to be reluctant to invest in Russia and Central Asia because they perceive the risk to be high. They believe they probably don't have the same leverage with local authorities. They need that security of title and ownership transfer. If you find something, you got to be able to sell it to a third party if you wish. If you find a huge deposit and you're a tiny company, you need to look around to find a strategic investor, and you got to be able to receive the fair price for your discovery. It's simply an issue of being rewarded for your work and success. Junior companies don't have many instances. They don't have a lot of cash, so political risk, while they're very, very entrepreneurial in terms of finding deposits and going where the deposits are, they're very careful on political risk, because a mistake could challenge the future of their company altogether. Essentially, to thrive, junior companies, and I'm going to be using Vladislav Inozemtsov sentence, is he made regarding the Skolkovo Innovation Center in Moscow, is that deep-rooted democracies offer the best environment for small business to prosper. And that applies extremely well to junior mining companies. Junior companies need help, assistance, but no interference. I think they can comply with the environmental rules and all the rules in place, but they don't need interference in the sense that parties trying to block their project, they need to streamline their project, and for that they need government intervention, but in a very positive sense. They're less present in Russia and Central Asia because they don't understand actually the mining regime of each individual country. So I think more promoting efforts from your part would be very welcome. Sometimes they perceive the risk simply to be out of hand with their financial means. And there's a culture in Russia, Central Asia, to have large companies, combinats, that are taking care of mineral development. And that's, juniors are not in that ballpark, for sure. I think probably one of the best way for juniors to operate effectively in Central Asia would be to have a good local partner who understands who has a good contact base, who understands the geology. I think a good local partner could help them to iron out some difficulties that they could be facing in a market like that. Our main association, I think it's Nathan or Heather that alluded that to in Canada, that is responsible for the promoting the exploration sector, is called PDAC, Prospectors and Development Association of Canada. Prospectors, they're the heart of our industry. They're the one who go out in the field and bring their samples to conferences to attract companies. And obviously, many years ago, the PDEC was a small gathering of prospectors from northern Quebec and northern Ontario. PDEC has evolved over that time, and it has now an international focus. Again, individual prospectors are key to this industry. In addition to exhibiting properties, showcasing projects, the PDEC has trade shows that offer a great array of mining, exploration, production, equipment, and services. It's worth attending, and I hope you can travel to Toronto in 2022, because this year it's going to be PDEC will be essentially a virtual event for obvious reasons. But the numbers are staggering. 7,200 members around the world. In recent years, PDEC has attracted up to 25,000 participants, and essentially you have the coordinate to register to this year's PDEC event. And also, I urge you to consult the following link on mineral exploration. It's called Mineral Finance 2020, Canada Holding Ground. So a wealth of knowledge and expertise is provided into this research. In preparing this presentation, I found out that I still have a lot of friends at Natural Resources Canada, and they help me. They give me a lot of data, their expertise. And John Keating of PGX, and also former NRCan, is evolving as a president of a junior company, and he knows. He worked for senior companies, he worked for junior companies. He knows the differences in terms of the two type of companies, and he provided me a lot of insight. Before I conclude, I just want to reiterate that provinces in Canada are owned and managed. Natural resources in Canada are owned and managed by provinces within their boundaries. That's very important, in the sense that provinces can compete with one another. They can be much more open to junior exploration companies. And also they provide fiscal incentives. Essentially, a junior company doesn't have any revenues. A junior exploration company spends money. They don't have revenues. So there's a program called the flow-through shares, when a junior company can transfer its expenses to individual investors who get tax rebate for that. That's very important. That's what makes that's allowed junior companies to remain active and alive. That's their oxygen. They need fiscal help, in addition to have a strong level of land tenure to protect their investment, particularly when they make a big discovery. Why did the government create these incentives for junior companies? The reason is very simple. Junior mining companies, they generate wealth, and they generate wealth in remote areas, in all areas where they can find something. They're not scared, again, of traveling to very cold weather conditions in the north. They're just out there searching and digging all the time. There's no doubt that junior companies will open new horizons for your mining industry in the future, and hopefully you can travel to Toronto in 2022 to experience the this great event that is called PDAC, and hopefully we can continue to share some thoughts on how to make the junior companies more active in Central Asia. Спасибо за внимание. Thank you very much. I look forward to receiving your questions.
Thank you very much, Gilles, and I listened carefully to your presentation. And one of the things that I remembered that when I was young and worked for the junior company in Toronto, and it was probably one of the first books that I bought. It was called Get Smarter, Life and Business Lessons by Seymour Schulich. That was the original founder of Franco-Nevada, and we actually met with the with the CEO, Mr. Paul Brink of Franco-Nevada recently at the PDAC. About the PDAC, Kazakhstan has been showcasing the Kazakhstan Day event at PDAC for the last 2 years. It will be showcased this year via online webinar on 11th of March. Do please pay attention that it's going to be on 11th of March at 7 until 7:30 Eastern Time. It's going to be in an international stage event. So we are going to be actively participating at the PDAC in the years to come, and we hope to see personally everybody there next year. So going forward, as some of you know, Kazakhstan has adopted a new mining code which has made into law in 2018. So since then, 1,200 exploration licenses have been issued, of which about 700 were issued in 2020 in the coronavirus year. So think about it. Before the mining code, we only had about 500 contracts in total. So in other words, when some might say that COVID did slow us down, especially last year's field season, when we had some negative impacts due to roadblocks, quarantine measures, people getting infected. However, government and companies introduced safety protocols, social distancing, strict lockdown measures, and of course fiscal stimulus to help the economy. We overall at the Aurora Minerals Group, we actually think this 2021-2022 is going to be a busy year for the exploration industry, while the endless flood of both central bank and fiscal stimulus means that hundreds of billions of liquidity to the tune of approximately 0.7% of the global GDP is every single month are entering the market, every single month. So as a result, it's not only a continued push higher in risk assets, but soaring commodity prices, with industrial metal prices powering to the highest in years on bets on economic recovery and worldwide push for cleaner, greener energy that will unleash vast pent-up demand. So looking at the commodity prices today, we're seeing that the copper eyeing a record stretch of a month, advancing as it creeps closer to $10,000 a ton. Gold trading $1,800, $1,900. Silver at around $27. So our next speaker today is Ben Pullinger, CEO and President of Real Gold. I must say, I know a little bit about the project. I have actually met the Chief Geologist of Real Gold, Mr. Doug Kirwan, last year at the PDAC, and we discussed some opportunities in Central Asia. I know you guys are looking for an extremely efficient mine, especially talking about the Caroline type deposit, which is just like Nevada, in Nevada. But Nevada is not really Kyrgyzstan, and recently Kyrgyzstan had a presidential and parliamentary election, and there had been some statements from the government, but it's clear that the new president, Mr. Sadr Japarov, aims to make the mining industry the primary source of income for the economy. So, Ben, can you please share your thoughts on the junior movement in Kyrgyzstan? How is your project developing, and what's your outlook for the future? So, Ben, the floor is yours.
Saeed, thank you very much, and thank you everybody for allowing us to participate and giving us the opportunity. Your Excellencies, Heather and Nathan, thank you for inviting us to present to this. And I'm very excited to talk to this group today, especially based on the fact that geology is international. And what I mean by that is, Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, we're all linked along the same geological environment with the same discovery potential that really has lagged and fallen behind the rest of the world for numerous reasons. Real gold itself, Saeed mentioned it really well. One of our biggest challenges when it comes to attracting new capital and attracting investment to achieve our bold plans right now is the perception of the mining industry, is the perception of the way in which the junior companies and foreign companies are viewed in Kyrgyzstan at the moment. We're very proud. We're very happy to see that there are developments and positive statements, but this remains something that is a hurdle for us moving forward. Speaking directly to the geological potential, though, this is why we're here. We really feel, and I'll touch on it later on in my presentation, that the Tian Shan gold belt that links Uzbekistan, Kyrgyzstan, and Kazakhstan really has some of the best potential for new discoveries of multiple sizes, multiple grades, but something that can really build up a gold mining camp, not just a single mine here and there. We've got Muruntau in Uzbekistan, the world's biggest gold mine right now. And a lot more exploration and investment having happened on that side of the belt than in Kyrgyz, and now catching up in Kazakhstan as well. That's something I'll touch on in the presentation. But really, at Real Gold, this is what we're focused on. We're focused on geological potential. We're focused on discovery. We're focused on promoting the Kyrgyz geology. Gene Klein and Doug Kerwin are two of North America's and internationally known experts in Carlin and experts in geology. Doug having been, received credit for the discovery of Oyo Togo. Gene being the standing president of the Society of Economic Geologists worldwide and known as the expert on Carlin. And really, when we talk about this slide, we talk about boldness. That's what we're speaking to. We're speaking to that expertise that has been generated of 100 years of continuous exploration in places like the Carlin Trend, in places like Nevada, and using that and capitalizing on that expertise with Gene and Doug on our board and advising us and taking that and transferring those skills and not reinventing the wheel, transferring those skills to an environment that has similar geology and spending shareholders' money to see if the opportunity for those kind of deposits, for that kind of gold mining camp is there. And nothing develops local economy and nothing develops infrastructure other than the way that a mine does from discovery through to production. I saw this when I was in Burkina Faso, working on the Yaramoko gold project, took that from inferred resource all the way through to commercial production and saw the benefits not just to the local area, but all the way back to the capital with that. As such, Real Gold currently has a commanding position of what we believe could be an equivalent Carlin Trend that really just needs time and investment to test that thesis, to do the exploration work, and to seek out new discoveries along this trend. Sorry. Just a quick summary of why we're there. We believe in gold mining in the Kyrgyz Republic. We believe in the Tian Shan gold belt, and it is a place where big deposits and big mines are starting to be developed and built. We also see that over the last 10 years or so, there has been increased investment, and that increased investment has started to grow the profile and the prestige of the geology in this area, which is really what's summarized in this map over here. You look at the Tian Shan gold belt from Uzbekistan all the way through to Kazakhstan, just off on the right. This is a world-class environment in which world-class deposits should be found and should exist. And really, it's just a matter of attracting those investment dollars. Gilles, really appreciated your presentation earlier and the role of junior companies in that, and the need to be entrepreneurial and to deploy capital very efficiently, because we don't have cash flows. We live from drill hole to drill hole based on the perception of our investors' belief in our success and what we're doing in our process, and that's really what we bring to exploration in this, is taking that learning from people like Doug and Gene and applying it and training, transferring knowledge, building capacity locally so that we can get the best out of these assets and look to make significant discoveries on this in this what we believe could be world-class geology. This is really the crux of it, right? If you look at this, this is a scatter plot by grade and tons of deposits in Carlin. This is the result of over 100 years of continual exploration not just by companies in the US. This was done by companies from South Africa, Australia, Canada, that grew these deposits, juniors that turned into majors, Barrick, Newmont, Kinross, that went out and took the expertise that they learned here and applied it to other places in the world and grew significant companies out of this. This is the potential that we're looking to see along this Tian Shan Gold Belt, which is already demonstrated in some of the deposits along this belt, with what we believe many more to be found. This is also the result of hundreds of millions and billions of dollars of continuous exploration over, as I said, 100 years to get to this point. Without getting too technical, Gene and Doug have done the work, they've done their homework, they're actively promoting Kyrgyz geology whenever they're talking about Carlin at SEG meetings or in webinars like this. And really the contrast or the comparison is striking. Same gold habit, same kind of rocks, same kind of environment, and potential for even bigger deposits potentially along this trend that still haven't been discovered or explored at this point. Real Gold, a little bit of history of the company. We were established in 2016. I took over the company last year with Doug now as our chairperson. But really what we're focused on is the fact that there is this huge geological potential. We have the ability to take the knowledge, to take the learnings from Carlin and apply them here and invest in this. We've already invested over $15 million US dollars into the exploration, and that money goes straight into the ground, right? Like, we don't have a big Canadian team. As Gilles said, we're very lean, we're very flat. All that money goes into license acquisitions, regional exploration, drilling, and prospecting, and developing new targets as we move. And we're really focused on that. And then, provided that the environment is competitive for us and we're able to go into public markets, that's the place that we need to go to attract new capital based on the results and based on the work that we do, and being able to prove that we can operate and make discoveries in this environment. Discovery-focused team, like I said, between Doug and Gene and myself and our local geologists, Slava and Alex, we have a significant wealth of geological knowledge that we look to apply to this exploration and get the best results with the capital that we have to invest. Our team, from the management team and the board of directors, all have significant mining experience. We're mining focused. I've spent over 15 years of my life in mining and exploration. Have been privileged enough to be involved in some very spectacular and high-profile projects. Anna and Brendan as well, the same, including being involved in Canada's biggest gold mine at Detour Lake, which was also a Franco-Nevada investment back in the day. On our board of directors, Doug, former SEG, Society of Economic Geologists president, Gene, outgoing and current SEG president, and resident experts in Carlin and international geology. One of the things here that has always stuck with me is when on my first day in university studying geology, my geological professor said, the best geologists are the ones who've seen the most rocks. Geology is an international discipline, and it really requires that experience, that depth of knowledge of having seen hundreds of deposits, having worked all over the world to form the best views. Dr. Alex Becker as well, who has worked in the Kyrgyz and surrounding regions for most of his life, mapped Kyrgyz when he was a graduate geologist, has that depth of knowledge, that experience that we're applying to the exploration and the geology and the potential that we see in Kyrgyz. At the moment, based on the first few years of exploration, we've been able to define significant targets. We have many more that we want to test and much more that we want to do, but it requires a lot of investment and a lot of time. So we have to rank and deploy capital on a best-in-class basis. Best targets get the most investment. And for this year, there's 4 targets that we're looking to invest in. Uluktal, Kairakan, Siamap, and Alai, where we have good surface results. We've got some drill results at Uluktal, for example, when we look to drill places like Siamap for the first time. Really, we look to seeing big mineral footprints over long areas, compelling targets that are consistent with our vision of a world-class gold belt in Kyrgyz Republic or Kyrgyzstan. We also believe in community development. Here you can see a school bus that we use to ferry school kids from one side of the town to the other. We believe in working with, developing, growing, training, employing, and deploying capital into local communities as we work alongside and at the privilege of the communities for the opportunity to invest and explore as we move and as we grow and hopefully make discoveries. In 2021, very much focused on taking the technical successes and the early stage results that we've seen in the portfolio that we've built and turn them into compelling discoveries, and hopefully doing that in an environment, because as an explorer for commodities, we're price takers. We can't set the price. We're not like Apple. We don't get to pick how much we're going to sell our iPhones for. But we have an opportunity in the gold cycle now, where capital is flowing back into the sector. We need some political stability. We need transparency. We need all the things that Jill talked about to attract new capital. And we thoroughly believe that with that new capital, we can be well on our way to making new discoveries and new successes, and really continuing to build up and market the profile of what we think is a spectacular geological environment. And we intend to continue to build our capacity and hopefully grow the company as we are able to make discoveries and move the projects forward. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for their time and for listening to the Real Gold story today. And if there are any questions, please shoot me a message on the question, or reach out to Nathan, and I'm happy for him to pass on my email address, and I'd be happy to address any questions following on from this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ben, and really, guys, good luck in Kyrgyzstan. Good luck with this discovery. You have an excellent team, and I'm sure you guys are going to be a success. So, going forward, I'm just going to quote a few. Goldman Sachs, in a recent report, said, "What we think is key, however, is that this recovery in commodity prices will actually be the beginning of a much longer structural bull market for commodities." JP Morgan says commodities may have just begun a new supercycle. Prices may also jump in unintended consequences of the fight against climate change, which threatens to constrain oil supplies while boosting demand for metals needed to build renewable energy infrastructures, batteries, and electric vehicles. JP Morgan attributed the latest cycle to several drivers, including a post-pandemic recovery, ultra-loose monetary and fiscal policies, a weak US dollar, stronger inflation, and a more aggressive environmental policies around the world. So our next speaker today is Alexander Evgenievich Antonov, Junior Director of B2 Gold. I must say, I was in Uzbekistan 4 years ago at Uzbekistan Invest when B2 Gold was first awarded these licenses. Today, Uzbekistan is a gold-rich country that actually aims to become one of the largest gold producers in the world. Uzbekistan is the home to a Muruntau deposit that's located in the mountains of southwest Kızılkum Desert of the Navai region. And around October, we have been in Uzbekistan, and the plans that they have are fascinating, from Navai metallurgical plant having aims to go onto the listing onto the stock exchange, and they're currently updating their resource, making it JORC compliant. So anyways, I will pass the floor to Mr. Alexander Evgenievich Antonov to share his experience in Uzbekistan and what he believes about the junior movement in Central Asia and in Uzbekistan in particular.
In Uzbekistan, foreign investors were allowed to develop projects of strategic metals, gold, and uranium by decree of the president in 2017. Licenses have been issued to senior companies. B2 Gold is a large gold producer, about 1 million ounces a year. Our experience gained in this jurisdiction can be useful for junior companies as well. As you can see, about $4 million was spent on geological exploration at 3 licensed areas over 2 years by our company. Here you can see the geological map of Uzbekistan, and where our local subsidiary, B2Gold Central Asia, was registered by resolution of the Prime Minister, providing us some benefits. The geological map shows the location of our licenses, 3 licenses. Most of Uzbek regions, especially in western and southern Uzbekistan, are insufficiently studied. The portfolio of the State Committee of Geology includes subsoil plots for junior mining companies, among others. If we compare CIS and North American countries in terms of the prospects for development of junior business, we must take into account their size, the degree of geological exploration, the state of government control over the economy, the stock market conditions. Although the webinar is dedicated to the junior movement in Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan in comparison with Canada, we cannot get around Russia. It is enough to look at the size of the territories at this table. And accordingly, the prospect for junior companies, Russia is the largest country in the world with vast underdeveloped territories. Prospects for discovering new fields are also great in Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan. What is Junior Mining Company, or JMC? By Canadian or North American standards, companies with a market capitalization of less than $500 million are considered to be juniors. Of course, these frames are relative. Thus, Russian publications indicate a limit for juniors much less, below 50 million. Juniors are trying to acquire properties with a high probability of commercial discovery, and if successful, they have a chance to move into the category of a medium-sized mining company or merge with a larger player. If a resource study provides positive results, the JMC will raise capital to go ahead with exploration or partner up with a bigger company. Here you can see business characteristic of JMC. Juniors are focused on the discovery of the new field, for which at the beginning of their activities they often invest their own funds. They manage to run with a small staff and minimal administrative costs. As a rule, as at the initial stage, they are unable to carry out mining for themselves, and they focus on geological exploration. For the success of enterprise, it is extremely important for them to employ highly qualified geologists and managers. As this slide shows, the junior business is a high-risk business. Then why entrepreneurs undertake this? Because if successful, you can count on a reward that is many times greater than the expenses. A recent example is the large Malmysh copper deposit in Amur region, explored by the Canadian IG Copper, together with the junior Kolim Geo, and sold in 2018 to the Russian Copper Company for $200 million at the stage of exploration and preparation for development. What should be done to reduce the risks? To reduce the risks, you need to know well the search criteria of the expected mineralization, to know and use the result of previous studies, have a clear strategy for exploration, and be flexible in adjusting it to the results obtained. For that, it's desirable to have several licenses or projects in the same area. investing in JMC. Individual investors are usually more interested in juniors. Institutional investors prefer to invest in large companies. Most junior companies are recipients of venture capital on the stock and venture exchanges in Toronto. For a junior company to be able to attract a significant amount from small investors on the market, there must be sufficient amount of small investors. This is possible only in the developed stock market. When we compare the juniors business in North America on one hand and CIS on the other, we understand that there's a conceptual difference between them. If in the first mentioned countries the market is functioning for centuries without interruption, in the CIS a return to market relations began after the collapse of the USSR. Only in recent years, market relations have taken shape in the mining industry of the CIS countries, including Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. Why are the Canadian companies so successful? I remember the presentation of Gilles Couturier. Because they meet all the necessary requirements listed above when describing risks. If you open up information on Canadian juniors, you will see it. For example, Nexus Gold from Vancouver has 6 projects in Canada and 5 in West Africa. Ethos Gold is well funded and has projects in Quebec, Ontario, and Nevada. The collective experience of these companies' managers is over 100 years. There are many such examples. I don't touch B2 Gold as it is not junior, it's senior company. And when in the late 90s and early 2000 China began to increase gold production and eventually came out on top in the world, who conducted a geological exploration there and prepared the deposits for production? They were mainly Canadian junior companies. This slide shows a long dramatic story of the ups and downs of Russia's only public junior company, Copy Goldfields, which is listed on the Stockholm Stock Exchange. Its history began back in 2006 by acquiring Kopilovskaya license in Irkutsk region, and it gave the name to the company, Copy. The company went through economic crisis, falling gold prices, selling and acquiring new assets. It has survived the arrival and exit of Canadian investor Eldorado Gold. It's continuation of the same story. As a result of successful exploration of Krasny deposit and confirmation its resources by Jorkov, it managed to interest the mid-sized Russian gold producer Giri Gold, which acquired 51% of the company, Copy Goldfields. Now the company is in stable financial position, possesses significant resources, and moved from exploration category into producing company. So this is a real case of success. The presentations of the Kazakh representatives later on will provide full coverage on Kazakhstan. And I will allow myself to speak a little about opportunities for juniors in the vast territories of Russia. Besides, the mining business is international. Therefore, it should be borne in mind that Russian mining project can be implemented by Canadian, Kazakh, or Uzbek investors. As you know, a large project in Chukotka was acquired by a Kazakh company. This slide demonstrates an instructive example from Russia related to Yakutia. Yakutia is a huge territory. with an area of 3 million square kilometers, exceeding the area of Argentina, such countries of Argentina or Kazakhstan. It's very cold, like Canada, so Canadian investors could go there. The diagram shows its eastern part related to East Yakutian metallogenic belt. We have clarified the structure and shown its structural relationship with Laptev Sea Shelf. 8 large gold-bearing regions are distinguished, promising for identification of gold deposits of the Kizilkum type, Muruntau type. 2 super large gold deposits, Nezhdaninskoye and Natalka, are in place, and we predict another one in the Nyavlenginsky ore district on the continuation of one of the East Yakutian zones in Magadan region. This is the same which was shown on the previous slide. In all 8 ore regions you could see on the map, there are great prospects for discovering new gold deposits. They're suitable object for junior companies, especially from Canada, due to the cold climate conditions. Juniors of CIS countries in the conditions of the forming market. Transition to the market economy in the mining sector includes privatization of both small and large enterprises, including large mining combines and exploration expeditions. It is known that in 2020, a presidential decree was issued in Uzbekistan on a fundamental restructuring of the largest Navoy mining combine in accordance with international standards of management and reporting. It was noted by our moderator as well. A tremendous work has begun to ensure that NMMC, one of the world's top 10 gold producers, will be incorporated and become a public company by 2023, in 2 years. Similar work is being conducted in the State Committee of Geology and Mineral Resources in relation to exploration expeditions. They have exploration equipment, geological expertise, and in my opinion, they can be considered as a prototype of junior companies. Another fact that from March 2019 in Uzbekistan, artisanal mining of precious metals is allowed by the decree of the president. The role of the government in supporting junior movement. In connection with incompleteness of real market formation in the CIS countries, imperfection of exchange instruments, the government assistance to junior companies, including in the form of a government-private partnership, seems justified. As we could see from the previous presentation of Gilles, it's also something is being done in Canada as well in that relation. We see from this table that Kazakhstan is purposefully moving in this direction. They showed examples of Tauken Samruk and Astana International Financial Center, as you can see on the slide, are quite indicative. In Russia, the government represented by Deputy Prime Minister Trutnev supported the initiative of the governor of Magadan region to support the first junior company in Kolyma, operating on the principles of government-private partnership. Here's Navlenginsky district, opportunity of big discovery, a challenge for a junior. That district was shown on the previous map of Yakutia. This is a larger scale of the same map. we substantiated the possibility of identifying a super large gold deposits in these gold districts. Its regional position as the intersection of one of three metallurgic zones of East Yakutian belt with Okhot-Chukotka belt is similar to the other two super large deposits, Nezhdaninsky and Natalka. The favorable position in black shale terragenous strata are illustrated in the map. This area, the perspective for big gold discovery. My colleague Yuri Radchenko, the head of Dukat Geological Exploration Company, conducted geological exploration in a part of this territory, which confirmed its prospectivity. Следующий. The search for interest investor for this district is currently underway. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Alexander Yevgenich. And I must say, B2Gold is really a fascinating company with proven track record in managing political risk and succeeding in countries around the world. I mean, B2Gold has been successful in Mali, Philippines, Colombia, Burkina Faso. It's got projects in Finland, Japan, and now Uzbekistan. So we really wish you all the best in Uzbekistan. And if B2Gold is successful in Uzbekistan, I mean, it's a success for everybody else. So now coming back to Kazakhstan, the mining code that was enacted in Kazakhstan in many ways created an opportunity for service providers. And today in Kazakhstan, we already have approximately 4 to 5 airborne geophysics technologies like electromagnetics, magnetics, radiometrics, gravity, and major companies along with Committee of Geology have been successfully conducting airborne surveys. The ground geophysics market is far more competitive with local and international players, while for drilling in Kazakhstan we have many domestic providers, but the wide use of RC drills or the deep hole drilling are getting more and more popular. So our next speaker is Kemal Amanbayev of Aurora Minerals Group. Aurora Minerals Group was formed in the late 2015, right before the mining code was enacted. So today Aurora Minerals Group is an integrated full-chain service exploration provider. So just about a month ago, Aurora was able, on behalf of the client, register a company on AIFC that is governed by UK common law and acquire 10 mining licenses within just 10 days based on the first come, first served basis. So is it fair to say that the success of the mining code is also success of the Aurora Minerals Group? So now, Kemal, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you for introduction, Saeed. Welcome everyone. My name is Kemal Amanbayev. I'm a Vice President at Aurora Minerals Group, and it's my great pleasure to be able to present for all of you this event tonight. Just switching the slides. Yeah. So today I'm going to be talking about the junior market in Kazakhstan and how it's been developing so far, how our group sees the future perspectives of junior mining and exploration companies in Kazakhstan, and also why we think the juniors are actually the main force for the future big discoveries in Kazakhstan. And first, I just want to quickly go through the main elements of the current state of the mining and exploration industry of Kazakhstan. So it's not a secret that our country is quite rich in mineral resources, and we've been seeing what we've been seeing the last couple of years in Kazakhstan actually is the booming exploration market, and there's actually reasons for that. First of all, because of the lack of investment, we didn't really see much exploration in Kazakhstan during the last couple of decades. And obviously, with the recent development of new technologies and increase in productivity, the production at mining sites was very intense, which ultimately leads to a rapid depletion of reserves. So the rate of depletion, as you can see, is actually a lot faster than the rate of discovering the new deposits. So now we're in this situation when there is an ever-growing demand for commodities, but we're under this risk of not being able to satisfy this demand due to the lack of exploration activity. So our government fully appreciates this, and quite recently in 2018, Kazakhstan employed the new mining code, which adopts global best practices, and in particular the Australian model, world's leading mining jurisdiction. Most importantly, the new mining code made the exploration license acquisition process a lot faster and efficient. So now anyone can get an exploration license in a very short period of time. So we're talking about 10 business days now. What we have as a result of this combination of urgency to make new discoveries to compensate for the depleting reserves and the adoption of the new modern legislation is the market booming. We in Aurora, of course, anticipate and we hope for this positive trend to continue, as we think Kazakhstan has enormous mineral potential. And we also need to focus and develop, we focus on and develop the junior market here in Kazakhstan, and here's why. So why we need strong junior market? So first, I would like you to take a look at this diagram. The diagram is showing us who are making the discoveries, or to be specific, which type of companies made it. And we can see that from 2008 to 2017, almost 65% of all discoveries in Western world was made by the junior companies. So that's just staggering. And they outperformed the majors by almost fivefold. So why is that? Why the juniors are performing better and making more discoveries? So first of all, it's actually a junior company is actually a small company, a small team, which means they are a lot more flexible. We all know that it's always easier to manage small groups. So because it's a small company, they're always very fast in decision making. There's no need to undergo this lengthy bureaucratic procedures to approve an exploration plan and so on. So operationally, they're a lot more efficient than majors. They also focus on greenfield projects, which again adds to a high probability to discover a new deposit. There are obviously some downsides, one being that juniors are reliant on constant cash inflow to continue exploration. There's high risk for them to go bankrupt, and they're reliant on commodity prices as well. And we can compare them to IT startups who are also very risky at the beginning, but if they do succeed, they succeed big time. So what we need here in Kazakhstan is to find the best way for juniors to actually succeed, and how we can achieve that. So our company, Aurora, is an integrated full chain exploration service provider, and we offer the services for every stage of exploration process. Our group consists of 4 main subsidiaries. Aurora Minerals Group provides geological consulting and advisory. In Aurora, we do planning of exploration programs. We do estimation and evaluation of reserves and resources in accordance with the best international practices and standards such as NI 43-101 and JORC. Aurora AG company is our geophysical company that provides a full range of geophysical services that include helicopter-borne electromagnetic surveys, fixed-wing gravity, magnetic and radiometric surveys, magnetic and electrical surveys, UAV-based magnetic surveys as well. So we also, in Aurora AG, we do processing and interpretation, as well as modeling of geophysical data using the GeoSoft software. There are also 2 drilling companies, Nova Drilling, which specializes on diamond drilling of both vertical and inclined holes and can drill up to 1,200 meters deep. And Aurora Quest Services, which is a drilling company of a new format, a joint venture with our partners, the international drilling company Quest Exploration Drilling. AQS specializes in such types of drilling as RC, heli-portable drilling, as well as underground and geotechnical drilling. So that's shortly about our group of companies. So on the right side of this slide, you can see how the simplified exploration process looks like. So as you decide to start the exploration, first thing is to decide where and what you should be looking for. In other words, you generate the project. You select the region you want to work in, then you evaluate the infrastructure of the region, if there is accessible road system, processing plant, water supply, and so on. After that, you assess the historical data and decide if you want to go there and start exploring. So that's what Aurora Minerals Group can assist you with as a junior mining company, an exploration company. So as you decide on the location, you apply for the exploration license, and our company has a lot of experience in getting the licenses for our clients. As we mentioned before, our last case was with our foreign client, and we were able to register a new Kazakhstani company for them and obtain 10 exploration licenses for the same newly established company in just 13 business days. So that was very fast and efficient thanks to the new mining code. And as you obtain the license, you go with the early stage exploration, which usually implies airborne geophysical surveys followed by some ground geophysics. And I already mentioned that Aurora AG can provide all of this. Having the results of geophysics, then you're able to select the targets for drilling. After you get the laboratory results of the drilling, you can do the reserves and resources estimation. Again, Aurora can assist you with that. So as you being a junior company completing all these stages and finally making a discovery, so there are several paths for you. You can go mining right away, or listing to the stock exchange, or you have an option being acquired by a major company. So there's obviously no recipe to build a successful junior company, but based on our experience, we think that there are certain rules that, if followed, would greatly increase your chances of success. So as always, it's all about the people. So always try to invest in your employees, in their training, in the improvement, because at the end of the day, it's people who really make all the difference. Also be open to innovations. So as we all know, most of the shallow deposits have been already discovered. So to make a new discovery, you would have to go deeper, to map deeper, to drill deeper. So you need technologies that will be able to deliver that. And speaking of technologies and innovations, our company provides services using the cutting-edge exploration technologies, and we are partnering with the really world's most prominent exploration technology representatives. One of our long-term partners being Danish geophysical company SkyTem, the global leader in airborne geophysics that provides the advanced helicopter-borne electromagnetic systems, which can actually map the targets up to 800 meters deep. Together with SkyTem, we've been doing the helicopter electromagnetic surveys all over the Kazakhstan for almost 5 years now. And contact us for any airborne geophysical surveys. We already mentioned our partners from Quest Exploration Drilling, who provides the RC, heliportable, and geotechnical drilling services. I also have to mention our Canadian partners, DS Geophysical, with whom we successfully completed several ground electrical surveys, IP surveys in different parts of Kazakhstan. For our ground geophysical works, we use the already mentioned before Canadian GEM systems and GDD instruments, tools and sensors. So this past 2020, we completed 10,000 line kilometers of ground geophysics 1 year alone. So, Okay. Yes, and I forgot to mention about our partners from RPA, the Canadian British consulting company that can provide full range of geological consulting and advisory. the reporting and resource estimation. Yes, and last but not the least, we would like to invite you all to attend the Kazakhstan Day event, which is organized by Aurora together with our partners from Astana International Exchange as a part of PDC 2021 International Stage Session. So the event will take place on March 10th from 7 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time and will be broadcasted online at PDC website. Now it's really been a tradition for our company to hold this event at PDC stage. Last year we organized the same event in Toronto, which we think was a great success. And again, this year we invite you all to join us online now due to pandemic and be a part of this interesting and informative session where you'll find out everything about exploration, mining and investment opportunities in Kazakhstan. Thanks for your attention. Here's our details, our contacts, and thank you. Have you any questions? I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Kemal, for a detailed presentation. So, just about a year ago, during the good old days, Tauken Samruk, Holler Womack and Aurora Minerals Group organized a roadshow. It was Almaty, London and Toronto, where we finished at the PDAC. Well, the whole aim of the roadshow was to tell the mining world about the opportunities in Central Asia and specifically about the development of the juniors market. And in this sense, Tauken Samruk has since announced the Juniors Incentive Program and picked up quite a few exploration licenses in partnership with the international juniors. So our next speaker is Kanat Jakupovich Kudaybergen, CEO of Tauken Samruk, a mining arm of Sovereign Wealth Fund Samruk Kazana. So Mr. Kanat Jakupovich, the floor is yours.
Hello everybody. I'm happy to participate in this meeting, and I have before impressed from presentation of the Mr. Couture about the requirement of junior mining company, and I think to my mind a lot of good questions were raised, so I will try in my speech to answer some of them. Let me start with brief overview of some advantage of investment climate and the mining and the metal sector in Kazakhstan. As you know, Kazakhstan has a favorable investment climate, and this is a relatively high level of political stability, relatively serious attention which the government pays to the creation and the maintaining of a favorable climate for the investors, and the endowment of the country with natural resource. As you see, some of the numbers about the World Bank's rank and about the protecting minority rights, it is ranked number 1 and the number 4 in enforcing contracts. And Kazakhstan also demonstrated rapid economic growth. Its GDP increased 9 times from 2000 and 2 times over the last decade. A significant showdown in economic growth. We have growth Kazakhstan and decrease in FDI in Kazakhstan in 2020 is caused by a decrease in business activity due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So furthermore, Kazakhstan is member of Eurasian Economic Union together with Russia, Belarus, Armenia, Kyrgyzstan, and an integrated single market of 186 million people and a gross domestic product of over $3 trillion PPP. The EAU introduces the free movement of goods, capital, services, and the people and provides for common policies in macroeconomic sphere, transport, industry and agriculture, energy, foreign trade and investment, customs, technical regulations, competition, and antitrust regulations. Besides, Kazakhstan is a member of a global trading system, WTO, and adopted its rules and regulations to those necessitated by the WTO package, which further improves investment attractiveness of the country. In metals and mining is one of the most competitive and dynamically developing industries of Kazakhstan. Geolocation. We are close to China, major consumer of natural resource in the world, and to Russia, also big market for some minerals. We are also part of Chinese Belt and Road Initiative, which is an adaptation of the historical Silk Road. And our first president, Nursultan Nazarbayev, announced the new economic policy Nurlu Jol, which strongly interlinked with the Belt and Road Initiative. Nurlu Jol economic policy is a 9 billion domestic economic stimulus plan to develop and modernize roads, railways, ports, IT infrastructure, and education, and civil service in the Republic of Kazakhstan. And as you know, Kazakhstan has a significant mineral resource base and number of world-class deposits. The Kazakhstan is also richly endowed with gold, coal, tungsten, and other minerals, and currently the world's leading uranium producer. Next slide. And about our company. Tauken Samruk represents mining section of Samruk Kazna, which is sovereign welfare fund of Kazakhstan with capitalization more than $70 billion. The mission of our company is to develop mining and metals sector of Kazakhstan through development of investment projects. Our vision is to be a company with a diversified portfolio of assets, a reliable strategic partner for a wide range of investors in the mining and the metal sector of the Republic of Kazakhstan, which has resource and committed to the best standards in the implementation of investment projects. And our objective is to implement jointly with strategic partners projects from the current portfolio of our assets. We are also keen to develop new projects by investing together with strategic partners in brownfield and greenfield projects in Kazakhstan. We also willing to provide financial and technical support for junior metals and mining companies to develop greenfield mining projects in Kazakhstan. So, according to this point, we have launched program from junior to champion. Tauken owns large polymetallic assets. Shalkia, our main asset, is one of the largest zinc deposits in the world. Zinc resource of the Shalkia deposit are the 22nd largest in the world. Tauken also has an example of efficient partnership with one of the world's largest mining and metals company. We have built effective partnership with Glencore in Kazzinc LLP, largest zinc and lead producer in our region. After the launch of Shalkia, Tauken Samruk will control production of about 190,000 tons of zinc per year. TKS is a holder of the world's largest tungsten deposit, Verkhny Khayrakht in the northern Katpar. Resource base of these deposits is extremely large, about 1.3 million tons of tungsten trioxide. We have finished scoping study for these projects and calculated preliminary cash costs. They are very competitive. Projected production capacity of the projects is more than 12,000 tons of ammonium paratungstate. We also were working together with partners on exploration projects. In 2020, we started several exploration projects with Fortescue Metallurgical Group, Scandium Vanadium, SH Minerals, and the Eurasian Mineral Trade. And the Scandium Vanadium and the SH Minerals and the Eurasian Minerals Trade, they are junior companies. And apparently Fortescue and the Scandium Vanadium companies from Australia. About geological exploration in Kazakhstan is one of the most competitive and promising areas for cooperation. Kazakhstan occupies a leading position in terms of the wealth of its subsoil and their diversity. In 2018, as Said said before, a new natural resource code was introduced, which led to an increase in licenses issued. Over 1,000 licenses issued, more than 50 of them for foreign companies during the last 2 years. And about 220 registered mining enterprises are engaged in the extraction and the processing of minerals in Kazakhstan. In 2021, the launch of the National Mineral Resource Data Bank is planned, which will simplify the procedure of obtaining data. In Kazakhstan, only insignificant amount of exploration work was conducted in 1980s. Since then, for more than 25 years, not a single large deposit has been discovered in Kazakhstan, unfortunately. At the same time, Kazakhstan has following benefits to conduct exploration. Low depth of exploration at the level of 200 meters and the low exploration cost per 1 square kilometer compared to other countries. Significant and a diverse mineral resource base. The developed infrastructure of the mining and the metallurgical complex, the proximity of the main consumers of raw materials, cheap labor. Tauken Samruk is willing to provide financial, expert, and marketing supports in developing projects in Kazakhstan. And on the map, perspective or areas for geological projects are shown. There are 4 gold northern flank and the central part of the Aksu-Jolumbe zone in Karaganda region, and the Khargos placers in the basins in the Almaty region. For copper, Orsk and the Berchegursk district in Aktobe region and the northern Balkhash region. Also, we want to highlight our successful experience for finding partner for joint project implementation. Usually, we get contacts in different mining conferences. TKS, as a national company, has contacts with key players of the mining and the metallurgical complex in Kazakhstan. Our goal is to promote our projects and develop the mining and the metallurgical industry in Kazakhstan. So after we sign NDA, we organize full support for partners, visit to Kazakhstan and accompany them when inspecting potential geological exploration sites. No binding documents are signed. The partner can enter the project independently or together with another participant. But if mutually beneficial areas are found, TKS with partner conclude term sheet and start implementing project together. We also strive to use the principles of sustainable development in all areas of our business, like ESG principles: environmental, social, and governance. The diagram shows the process of cooperation from the initiation of the project to its final implementation. After selecting projects and working out the optimal scheme of cooperation and developing a business plan, TKS will carry out all the types of support presented up to bringing the project to the planned stage, whether it is approving JORC reserves, completing the development of the feasibility study, BFS, and the launching production. At this stage gate, we will jointly decide on the further implementation of the project, return on investment by partially or fully selling the project or putting it on IPO. In case of IPO, AIX is one of the most convenient platforms to do so. Also, the option of further joint development and return on investment of participants through dividends is possible. At the end of my presentation, we are seeking mutual beneficial cooperation. For more information, contact details of responsible persons are shown here. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Khanat Jakupovic, and respect to you and Tauken Samruk for developing the juniors program, also following with the ESG, right? Your presentation is just like music to our ears, I believe. So given the possibilities of the new mining code for anybody or any foreign investor to pick up a license 100%, so in other words, Tauken Samruk in this sense is being a market company that just tries to offer the best infrastructure so that the partners come in and partner with them for development of the potential projects, and really hope that this will lead to the new discoveries. Well, going forward now, I would like to introduce our next speaker, CEO of KAZ Geology, Mr. Anvar Boranbayev. KAZ Geology is another national company in Kazakhstan that's engaged in exploration as a service provider and also as a license holder. Back in the days, KAZ Geology formed a number of joint ventures with multinational major companies. So it would be very much interesting to hear Anvar Kimovic so that you can elaborate your views on the junior movement and how does it affect KAZ Geology, and how do you see KAZ Geology in the next 5 years? Anvar Kimovic, the floor is yours.
Добрый вечер, коллеги. Позвольте вас.
Good evening, dear colleagues. Let me greet you on behalf of our company. Yeah, it's really a little bit difficult to be the last speaker, because prospects of our country have already been covered by my colleagues. Thanks for you, Saeed, for uniting us all at this webinar. Yes, and we are really a national geological exploration company. We have certain achievements, and we are in the market for 10 years, and many of those who are present here, people from Kazakhstan who attend this webinar, so they used to work in Geologia. Now we have a new team. We try to preserve the best, and we try to make progress using our colleagues from the companies you see on this slide. So that's about our experience. So the range of the companies is very different, but all those companies offer us certain opportunities for future actions and development. So we plan to develop, and our company is part of the Ministry of Environment and Mineral Resources, and at the moment our national geological exploration program is under review to be approved, which will become an impetus for exploring new territories, and in future majors and juniors will be able to get data on territories which were not explored that well compared to companies that work with us, but the market of mineral resources is vast with oil and gas, solid mineral resources, water, and so on. And these are components of the mineral resource base of our country. And now I would like to comment on operations and business areas we are in. So there are some shortcomings in achieving our KPIs due to the pandemic, the COVID, and we had to slow down in our development, although we didn't waste time, and to expand our portfolio of tasks Geologia achieves. So we contacted the government. And at the moment we are about to expand the functionalities of our company. So back in the days we were only focused on solid mineral resources. So the most risky stage of survey, yes, solid mineral resources and water. But today, together with NK Kazmunai Gas, we also have a number of works planned on the hydrocarbons, raw hydrocarbons, and rare earth elements. Our technical equipment show another step forward. However, the goals of Geologia are wider, and so we act to focus on exploration and search for new mineral resources and new prospective areas. Also, in our company, we are involved in the information system, National Data Bank of Mineral Resources. We also had some difficulties, but we are making progress. There is a group of companies involved which will allow to gather and merge data and to have one single window for services provided by public authorities working in subsoil using, and which will share geological data in certain amount required. We also have another project which will allow to achieve an international level in data provision. So we established and opened a laboratory with a range of laboratory equipment which will support reaching the targets which will be planted before the laboratory. We also have a pool of a promising project we can and should work with on gold, oil, rare earth elements. And on these slides you can see the regions, the areas where sites are located, also resources in area, required investments, and also what may be interesting to juniors for the future implementation of the project. So we are open to any type of discussion. If we cannot help you ourselves, then we have partners to assist you, and the previous speaker represents our partners, which allows us to reach the target indicators we keep working on. Now, I would like to thank you for your attention. Please, this is our address, and feel free to contact us anytime. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I must say that National Database of Mineral Resources is really an infrastructure for everybody, because everybody wants the digitized geological data that's publicly available for juniors. So we hope that this project will be finished this year and would be available for the juniors to develop it further. And the second point, the joint venture project between Kaz Geology and ALS Labs has been an exceptional success. It's located in Karaganda, and we all know how busy they are, and they expect to be busy in the years to come, and maybe they'll be opening other offices in different parts of Kazakhstan. So, Anvar Kimovic, thanks for this. So now going forward, now that everybody has finished their presentations, maybe it's an opportunity for questions and answers. Can you please raise your hands if you have any questions? In the meantime, I'll just share some of the results that we had during the polling, the questionnaire that we just had. So the first question was, do you believe in junior movement in Central Asia? And it was just a yes or no answer. And yes was replied by 20 respondents and 2 that don't believe. Second question, is it important to partner with government in order to develop the juniors market? 7 respondents have replied yes, while 3 said no. Did COVID-19 affect your projects? 16 respondents said yes, while 2 answered no. Do you believe in commodities bull cycle? 15 respondents have said yes, while 2 respondents have said no. And last question, it was, will you join Kazakhstan Day, an international stage session on PDAC 2021? And the good thing is that 15 people have replied saying yes, and 1 said no. So let me again invite you to a Kazakhstan Day event that will be held within the largest global mining and exploration forum, Prospectors and Developers Association of Canada 2021. PDAC convention is the premier international event for the industry that attracts more than 25,000 people from 135 countries annually. This year's PDAC convention is held online from 8th till 11th of March. The event will highlight the prospects of the Kazakhstan minerals market, new opportunities for investors and businesses, improvements in the local legislation, successes of introducing innovative technology in geological exploration in Kazakhstan, and the challenges to be addressed when entering the Kazakhstan market. The speakers at the Kazakhstan Day event will include the Vice Minister of Industry and Infrastructure Development of Kazakhstan, the executives from Kazzinc Exploration Program, the exploration team, that's subsidiary of Glencore in Kazakhstan. There's going to be a presentation of international mining services, as well as the majors of Rio Tinto Kazakhstan and the event organizers Aurora Minerals Group and Astana International Exchange. So Kazakhstan Day event will take place on Wednesday, March 10th from 7 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern. To attend the event, please register on the official website of PDAC 2021, or if you'd like to reserve a seat, please register your interest by emailing pdac@aurora.kz. Or for more information on Kazakhstan Day, please follow the PDAC official website or Aurora's website. Thank you very much. So now we're gonna go through, and the audience can raise their hands and ask a question. So does anybody has a question from the audience or from the presenters? Right, I see one. Are there opportunities for equipment sales in your area? So I guess maybe the best person to answer that is Mr. Viktor Ovcharuk.
Мне был задан вопрос,
I received a question about the support and training of personnel. I answered it in writing. This is an integral part of our deliveries and services, training of personnel, and constant support and consulting. Of course, we provide this.
To raise a question. Maybe questions to our friends from Uzbekistan. You can go to ask a question section and ask your question if you want. So there is a question for B2 Gold. Are you interested in making investments in junior gold mining projects in Kazakhstan? So Mr. Alexander Antonov, are you interested in making investments in junior gold mining projects in Kazakhstan?
Yes. Answered a couple of these questions in written form. Yes, we're interested. And we're looking at some projects. And we're looking at some projects in eastern Kazakhstan, in central Kazakhstan, in Jambil region. So, yes, we are. Offer us, if somebody could offer us any particular project where we would be happy to look at them. We're open.
Thank you very much, Alexander, for your question. I see that nobody has got any questions, actually. Oh, there is a question to our friends in Uzbekistan, especially to Mr. Damitov. Was there a privatization of exploration expeditions in Uzbekistan? Or I'm going to ask it in Russian. Проводилась ли приватизация геологоразведочных экспедиций?
Was there privatization of geological expedition in Uzbekistan?
floor requested. While Mr. Daminov is unavailable, we're talking of this with him this morning, and he told me that there was no privatization of exploration expedition in Uzbekistan yet, because they're waiting, they're ready for it, they're preparing this process, but Goscom Geology is waiting when the expedition will be properly equipped with drilling equipment and others, and after that, the process of privatization was go on. And as I remember, we had licenses in Kazakhstan with Canadian company Tech Corporation in late 90s, and I remember that Kazakhstan started the process of privatization of exploration companies, even in the late 90s. When we started our work, we were cooperating with Akmolinskaya Expediция, and shortly after we started our operations, the expedition was bought by the investment fund with interesting name, the Music of Profit. So Kazakhstan started this before, 20 years ago.
Thank you very much, Alexander, for answering this question on behalf of Mr. Avazbek Daminov. So moving forward, now we got a question for Mr. Gilles Couturier. Can you elaborate on the specific measures taken by the Canadian government and the provinces to support junior mining exploration companies? So I'll repeat the question. Can you elaborate on the specific measures taken by the Canadian government and the provinces to support junior mining exploration companies?
Yes, Saria, can you make can you bring up a slide that I think I sent you probably yesterday, if possible? So it would help to illustrate this example. If you can't do that, Saria, then I'll go along. Essentially, in the flow-through share regime, if an investors buy flow-through shares for $1,000 from an exploration company, which again has no revenue, the actual cost of its $1,000 investment in the junior company will be $375. This is based on Ontario's fiscal regime. So in other words, in addition to getting exemptions for flow-through share investment, it's going to be totally deductible by the investor. Let's say I buy $1,000, it's going to be totally deductible on my income tax. Furthermore, the province will issue a tax credit of 5%, the province of Ontario, and the Canadian government will issue also a tax credit of 15%. Altogether, it's two-thirds, three-fourths of the $1,000 investment will be covered by the government. Obviously, this is a sign that juniors are perceived to be extremely valuable to the economy in terms of finding new deposits. Anyway, there was a slide prepared for that, Saeed, but not to worry. And maybe a little comment, I guess I've seen from the presentations from Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan and Kyrgyzstan that there's an active reform process taking place in the region, and that's very welcome, and hopefully that will stimulate the junior from entering the market, because I believe that small is beautiful. Small companies can make wonders that many large companies that don't have the gipkas, the flexibility performing. They're very, because I think it translates into flexibility. En français, in French, would say souplesse, but that's very important in moving projects and advancing to new areas. Thank you. Спасибо за внимание. And a little thanks at the end for Saria, Gaziz, and Lydia, names that we don't see very often on programs, but they're doing the background work of this webinar. And the Saria, Gaziz, and Lydia are work wonders. They're great. Thank you. Спасибо.
Thank you very much, Gilles, and your answer is wonderful in terms of enacting actually the flow through shares here in Kazakhstan. It might require to have, we must go into the tax code, so to tax code reforms, but it's definitely one of those ways for us to develop our juniors movement in Kazakhstan. And now, question for Rio Gold. Are you interested in making investments in junior gold mining projects in Kazakhstan or any other Central Asian projects? That's a question for Mr. Ben Pullinger. But I guess he's already offline. So, anyways, moving on. Anybody else has a question, or anybody wants to raise a hand and maybe make a comment? I got here a question for Mr. Anvar Boranbayev of Kaz Geology. Would it be a good idea to have a selected group of Canadian juniors to be presented specific mining prospect area for them to eventually get involved in taking on the mining license? So again, the question for Mr. Anvar Boranbayev, would it be a good idea to have a selected group of Canadian juniors to be presented a specific mining prospect area for them to eventually get involved in taking on the mining license? So, Mr. Anvar Boranbayev, the question is yours, the floor is yours.
Я, конечно, рад любому сотрудничеству, но тем более...
I will be absolutely glad to have any kind of cooperation. When a number of companies have the same idea, the same strive for getting a result, they will be much stronger together. And independent whether you go for Geology, Aurora Minerals, or other companies, or all institutions, we are all together ready to provide necessary support and assistance to all those interested companies who would come to our country, and together we will make sure we'll get high quality results and discover new sites and assets to further development and exploration and getting the results and mining. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this answer. I will just scroll down the presentation. Does anybody else have a question or an answer that, or if the comment if they have? That's again just a kind reminder that the Kazakhstan Day at PDAC 2021. So it's going to be a great line of speakers from major companies, and the event is going to be online on March 10th. So please register your interest. So if there are no questions and no commentary from the audience, maybe it's time we will wrap up. And thank you everybody for participating at this event. I would like to thank the Canadian Embassy in Kazakhstan and Canadian Embassy in Russia and Uzbekistan for hosting this event. It has been a super event, and really it was so interesting to hear such a great line of speakers. And yeah, hope to see you all soon in the distant future. Probably see you all already being vaccinated and see you in person. And good luck and have a successful 2021. Thank you very much. And I'm going to be shutting down the system. Thank you, gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen.